Hello everyone and welcome back once again to my channel. As you probably already know, a week or so ago a brand new world update was released for Microsoft Flight Simulator, the UK and Ireland update, which brought a lot of changes to the United Kingdom in terms of scenery and airports. One of the airports that got an upgrade was Skerries Airfield. Before the update I had never heard of this airfield, but apparently it's a little airstrip located at the archipelago of small islands in northern Scotland. The name of the island where the airstrip is located kind of reminds me of the word outskirts, and it even suits the airfield perfectly because it's located quite far from the mainland. The airfield itself is actually very simplistic. It doesn't have any terminal or hangars or even a ramp area. It's just one dirt runway. Now at the moment we are located at Inverness Airport, also in northern Scotland, and we are going to take out the Cessna 172 Skyhawk for this flight. Landing this airplane could be quite interesting on a runway as small as that of Skerries Airfield. It's only 365 meters long, and to kind of put that into perspective, the runway at Seba Airport, which I made a video on quite a while ago, is 400 meters long, and that is already regarded as the smallest commercial runway in the world, so the runway at Skerries is even smaller than that. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. Very quickly before we start, be sure to do a touch and go on that subscribe button, along with the bell icon right beside it, so you never miss out on any new uploads. Also, don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video and head out to Instagram to give me a follow there as well. All of those things would be greatly appreciated and would help the channel out a tremendous amount. So thank you to anyone who supports me and the content I make for you guys. Now, without further ado, let's jump into the cockpit. So here we are inside the cockpit of the Cessna 172. As you can see, it's still in a cold and dark state, but we are going to change that momentarily. And we're going to do that by first pressing the battery and avionics switches. Navigation light can go on, everything else can stay where it's at for now. Then we're gonna go down here and we're gonna test the annunciator lights. All of them seem to be working quite well today. According to our compass, our heading is slightly left to 150 degrees, so we'll double check that on the HSI. And in fact, the aircraft heading is slightly to the right of 150 degrees. So that is correct, because the compass is when you're to the left of 150 degrees on the compass, you're actually to the right of 150 degrees on the HSI, so on the heading indicator. So that means the heading indicator is correctly aligned with the actual compass heading of the aircraft. I'm already going to set the altimeter and I'm going to review the weather real quickly. So the temperature at Inverness Airport is 13 degrees with a dew point of 6 degrees. The altimeter today is 3062, and that is in inches of mercury. Right about there should be quite alright. So altimeter is set, then we are gonna go to the transponder and set it to standby for now. And then to the GPS, then we can program our flight plan for today. So departing from Inverness Airport, which is Echo Golf Papa Echo, if I'm not mistaken. There we go, Inverness Airport. From Inverness, according to our flight plan, we are going to head out directly to the Wick VOR, which is Whiskey India Kilo. There we go, like so. Then after the Wick VOR, we are going to fly to the Kirkwall VOR, which is Kilo Whiskey Lima, like so. And as you can see, it gives us two options to choose from, but usually VORs in the United Kingdom do have Echo Golf behind their name, so usually you should choose that one. And as you can see, it's quite logical that it's 30 nautical miles from the previous VOR. If it wasn't the correct one and we chose a VOR that's actually somewhere, I don't know, let's say in the United States, then it would give you a very large distance, and you would know that you chose the wrong waypoint. But as you can see, the distance looks correct to me, so that's good. And then after the KWL VOR, we are going to fly direct to Skerries Airport, and the ICAO code for that airport, if I believe correctly, is Uniform Golf and then 78. Or maybe not, because it's not giving me many numbers, so let me double check that real quickly. Oh, my bad. It's not Uniform Golf 78, but it's actually Echo Golf 78, so that's why. So Echo Golf 78. There we go, Skerries in Bury. And there we go, there we have our flight plan. If we zoom out, we can see most of our flight plan right there. We're not going to fly any departure procedures for today, we're just going to follow the magenta line on our display. So now that we have done that, we can press the open fuel shutoff valve button here. Don't really know what that does, but if you don't do that, you won't be able to start your engine. And before starting your engine, you should make sure that your parking brake is set, which it is now. Trim can go to the takeoff position, not quite that far. Right about there should be good. The mixture can go to the full ridge position, sorry. Then our fuel pump can go on for a couple of seconds, like so. Beacon light can go on. You can advance the throttle just a couple of inches. Accidentally move the trim there. Then normally you should yell clear prop, but since we're in a sim it doesn't really matter, so I'm just going to start the engine by setting the magnetos to both and then to start. And there we go, engine is successfully started. Now we can turn on the taxi light, pitot heat can go on, we can reduce the throttle again to the idle position. We can also check if the flaps work, which they do. So we are not going to use any flaps for this departure since it's quite a long runway. Speaking of runway, the wind was coming from 220 degrees at 12 knots, so let me check real quickly with the charts at Inverness Airport. So the best runway for our departure today would be runway 23. Yes, runway 23. So in order to get to that runway, we are going to make a left on here, and then we are going to follow the shorter runway at this airfield. We're just gonna assume real quickly that that runway is not being used today, so we can use it as a taxiway. And then once we backtrack on that runway, we are going to backtrack on runway 23 as well. Then turn around and take off, and after departure we are going to make either a left or a right turn to follow our flight plan. So that's the plan for now. before we start, we can quickly check if the flight controls are working today. Looks like the flight controls are free and correct, so we are good to go. Make sure we don't hit that poor guy on the pushback tuck. So here we are at the runway that for now is not in use, so we are gonna make a right on this one. I believe you don't have to use your landing lights when you're using an inactive runway, but I could be mistaken. Let me know in the comment section below if you know the rules regarding inactive runways. But yeah, I'm not really aware of it. Hopefully that fire truck will be out of the way once we reach the end of the runway, but it doesn't seem like it's going to turn off the runway anytime soon. So this is in fact an active runway, so strobe lights and landing lights can go on. Don't mind the fire truck, we're just gonna drive right through it. So here we are. Right about here should be enough room to take off with these aircraft. There's no traffic on final, so that's good. And looks like the fire truck has also vacated the runway. And we don't see any traffic right in front of us, so that means we can go right ahead. Takeoff thrust is set. Airspeed is live. And rotate. And there we go, we're off the ground. So the climb speed in a Cessna 172 is approximately 80 knots, I believe. So we are going to pitch for that speed. And once we pass the threshold of the runway, we are going to make our right turn towards the magenta line. Right about now should be good. So there we go, guys, we are now on our way to Skerries Airport. You can still see Inverness Airport down there. Aircraft is perfectly trimmed for our climb speed, so that's good. It's a beautiful day to go flying here in the United Kingdom. Unlike a couple of days ago, then the weather was absolutely awful. There was rain, wind and clouds everywhere, and it was quite impossible to land an aircraft like this at almost any airport because of the very high winds. And according to the navigation display, we passed the magenta line, so let me turn back towards it right now. There we go. Our cruising altitude is, let's say, 6,000 feet should be good for this flight. So I don't know what it is with this aircraft, but the up and down switches, if I press down once, the aircraft will descend. The vertical speed needle will go all the way to 2,000 feet per minute. So I don't know what's up with that, but I can't use the vertical speed option for now, so I'm just gonna have to climb the aircraft manually, I guess. So here we are, guys. We finally reached 6,000 feet. So I'll go ahead and level off the aircraft right about here. And start trimming the nose down. So at this point I can turn on the autopilot, select heading mode and also altitude hold. There we go. So what the aircraft will do now is it will follow the heading that I've set, the altitude that we've just reached, and yeah, once we intercept the magenta line, I'm going to press nav mode, and from then it will follow the magenta line all the way to our destination. And what we can also do at this altitude is, of course, lean the aircraft mixture. So I'm gonna set a RPM of right around 2500 RPM, should be good. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna decrease the fuel that's going to the engine by decreasing the mixture. So by doing this, the RPM should increase again, because the air-fuel mixture is more efficient when you decrease the fuel at higher altitudes. So it looks like this is all I'm gonna get for extra RPM with this mixture, so I'm just gonna leave it at that for the rest of the flight. We still have more than enough fuel to get to our destination, it seems. So yeah, we are almost at the magenta line, so once this little figure hits the middle, I'm gonna engage nav mode. So at this point in the video, I'm probably going to cut it, and for you guys, it will skip right ahead to the descent. So I'll see you guys at the at Skerries Airport. For now, enjoy the flight and enjoy the views I've got for you. So guys, welcome back to the flight deck. We are less than 10 nautical miles away from the airport, and if I'm not mistaken, that is it right there. That's the island that we are headed to. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna disengage the autopilot and start descending the aircraft. So I can reduce the throttle. And the aircraft will automatically start pitching down. And now all we have to do is we have to trim out the aircraft at our desired vertical speed. So I want to keep it around 500 to 1000 feet per minute. Maybe a bit more than 500 should be good. So the weather, the wind is coming from the southwest. So what you are gonna do is we're gonna land in that direction. So I already know which runway that will be. So we'll make a probably a right pattern to land at the runway. So right downwind and then left base, or left downwind I should say. Depends on the perspective. So yeah, I'm gonna decrease the throttle a bit more so we can increase the descent rate a little bit easier. The weather, as you can see, is not quite as nice as it was when we took off, but shouldn't cause any problems, I think. I'm gonna keep decreasing the throttle because the aircraft is getting a little bit on the fast side. And I've lost pretty much visual of the entire island, but once we get through these clouds I should see it once again. I'm gonna zoom in on the navigation display just a little bit so I can see more clearly. And there we go, I have a visual on the islands again. The airport is right around here, so we are going to approach the runway from this direction. I'm gonna start making a right turn. This gives us a little bit more time to descend. Right about there should be good. So there we have the runway right there. I have a visual. Don't know if you guys can see it as well. So we are at 2000 feet. Let me very quickly adjust the barometric pressure so we have the right altitude. So yeah, once we reach about, I would say 1000 to 1500 feet, I will start turning for the left base leg. And then we'll start to slow the aircraft down a little bit more. So right about now should be good to make our turn. So there we have the islands again. I'm gonna start trimming the aircraft out now that it's slowing down. And start making our final left turn towards the runway. I think we overshot the runway a little bit, but that's fine. First notch of flaps is coming out, taxi light can go back on, and the mixture can go to full reach again. And the second notch of flaps is coming out as well. And I have a visual with the runway. So we're gonna keep heading out toward this lighthouse right in front of us. And then start making our way back to the center line. And also the final notch of flaps, increase the throttle so we don't stall. Keep trimming the aircraft out. By the looks of it, we have a slight left crosswind, and it's also a bit bumpy in this area. Probably because of the terrain and the fact that it's in open sea. Gonna have to make sure that we don't flow too much on this runway. Above the thresholds, decrease the throttle to idle. And there we go, we are down. So guys, there we have it. Let's stop the aircraft right here. Parking brake is set. We successfully landed at Skerries Airport. As you can see, the scenery at this airport, thanks to the newly released UK update, is very nice. The amount of detail is quite nice at this airport, sorry. So if we zoom out a little bit, you can see all of the houses and the harbor over there. All of the nice objects. And the water in the sim looks absolutely stunning with the waves. It actually looks like water, and that's very nice for a sim. And yeah, the textures of the islands and the rocks, everything looks great. The boats, even those things, the buoys or something like that. And the fences in the fields, just everything about these islands looks so great. And especially the lighthouse. That was a very handy waypoint to have, or a visual aid rather, during this approach. But as you can see, the airport itself is very simplistic. I don't even think it has a ramp or anything, because there's a fence over there, so I guess you just have to park the aircraft on the runway, which is exactly what we are going to do. So mixture is going to the full outward position. Ignitions can go back to off. Throttle is at idle. Flaps are up. The landing lights, taxi lights, strobe lights, and also beacon lights can go off. Sorry, and also the nav light can go back off. And then lastly, the navigation and the batteries. So there we go, guys. That's all. That's going to be all for this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and do a touch and go on that big red subscribe button, along with the bell icon so you never miss out on any new uploads. If you want to see more content from me, you can always follow me on my Instagram account. A link will be in the description. And also a link for the livery and all of the sceneries that I use will also be in the description. And if you want to give any flight request or anything else or questions, you can always reach out to me in the comment section below or in my DMs on Instagram. So yeah, for now, I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.